What are the perils of dual agency? California real estate brokers are legally allowed to act as a dual agent, meaning they can simultaneously represent both sides to a transaction. They can represent both the buyer and the seller, both the landlord and the tenant in the same deal. This dual agency has implications for all parties to the deal, which is not always understood by the parties or the broker. From the buyer's perspective, it initially might seem like a good idea to have the seller's broker also represent the buyer. The buyer thinks that they gain a competitive edge over other potential buyers because they will gain favorable treatment from the seller's broker versus other buyers who have their own broker. From the seller's perspective, sellers usually reduce the amount of the commission that they have to pay in case of a dual agency. For example, if the commission is 6% to be split between two brokers, it would be 4% in case one broker represents both sides. So a seller thinks, hey, we save money by having a dual agency, and they're financially incentivized to agree to a dual agency. From the broker's perspective, some agents jump at the opportunity to make a larger commission by double-ending the deal, so to say, but they may not realize the extra compensation comes with conflict of interests and risks. In fact, there are some brokers who refuse to act as a dual agent precisely because of this conflict of interest. The dual agent has the fiduciary duty of utmost care, integrity, honesty, and loyalty in dealing with both sides of the transaction. This fiduciary duty obligation is at odds with representing both sides to a transaction at the same time. The broker cannot fully advocate the interests of one party at the peril of breaching the fiduciary duty owed to the other side, or blowing the deal altogether and not making a commission at all. Sometimes neither principal or neither side will receive the benefits they would have received if they had their own separate real estate broker or agent. For example, if the buyer does a physical inspection and that inspection reveals some defect with the property, the buyer will ask the seller for some concessions, such as a price reduction, or for the seller to fix the defect. The seller will typically resist the price reduction and may question even the validity of the inspection, or may even want to move on to another competing buyer. The dual agent has a difficult task of resolving this dispute between the two sides, whom the broker represents, without breaching its fiduciary duties, which is problematic. If the buyer and seller were each represented by their own independent broker, then the two brokers could zealously advocate for their own respective client without being concerned about breaching their fiduciary duty to their client. Each broker would also not have to look over their shoulder and be worried about breaching their fiduciary duty. So before agreeing to a dual agency, real estate agents and the principals should give serious thought to all the potential consequences that flow from having a dual agency in a transaction.